Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Islamic Pulses. Today we are going to study the next topic from the life of Muhammad bin Abdullah. In our last video we have discussed about his Makki life, but inshallah in this video we will discuss about his life in Medina. So let's start the lecture. First point from his Madani life is shifting Makkah to Medina. The Muslims of Makkah were given permission to live and settle in Medina 13 years after prophethood. Muhammad left Makkah and migrated to Medina with Abu Bakr, and this event of leaving Makkah to Medina is known as Hijrah. The Prophet reached Medina on 12th of Rabiul Awwal, corresponding to 28th June 622 of the Christians era. The Prophet was 53 years of age at the time of his migration. In Medina, he spent the remaining 10 days of his life. Building of mosque, the next point and main event. The first thing that he did on reaching Medina was to construct a mosque now famous as the Prophet's Mosque. Here prayers to God were offered 5 times daily in a free atmosphere for the first time in the history of Islam. And the second main incident was establishment of Brotherhood. He next turned to establishing a Brotherhood of the Muslims, those who had fled from Makkah, called Muhajirin, refugees, had left all their properties behind. So to provide shelter for them, every refugee was bound in a bond of brotherhood with one of the residents of Medina called ansar. The meaning of ansar is helpers. The next point is the relation with Jewish tribes. The third important matter to which the Prophet turned his attention was to establish friendly relation between the various tribes living in Medina. Among those were 3 Jewish clans, and a pact was concluded with them as well. The main terms of this pact were as follows: the Muslims and the Jews shall live as one people. Each of one of them parties shall keep to its own faith. In the event of a war with the third party, each shall be bound to come to the assistance of the other, provided the party at war were not aggressions. In the event of an attack on Medina, both shall join hands to defend it. Peace shall be made after consultation with each other, and Medina shall be regarded as sacred by both, all bloodshed being forbidden therein. The Prophet shall be final court of appeal. An important step taken by Prophet Muhammad in Medina was the connecting of Hajin with Ansar. In the bond of Islamic brotherhood, he fraternized each Muhajir with an Ansar. Main and important event from his Madani life is the Treaty of Udabia. In 628, the Prophet dreamt that he was entering the Holy Kaaba, so he planned to go Makkah for the lesser pilgrimage in the month of Zulqa'dah. The Prophet, along with 400 unarmed companions, left for Makkah. Although they had no intention of waging war and were unarmed, yet their huge numbers surprised the Quraysh, and so they were not allowed to enter Makkah. Instead, to resist their entry, they sent a force under Khalid bin Walid and Akrama bin Jahl. The Prophet didn't want to fight, so he diverted his route. The Muslims camped at a place called Udabia, about 3 miles from Makkah. From here, the Prophet sent a messenger to the Quraysh to tell them that they had not come to fight. But the messenger never returned. The Prophet sent another messenger who too didn't return, and so eventually the Prophet sent Hazrat Usman, due to his high reputation among Quraysh, had returned Hazrat Usman for while rumors spread that he had been killed. Therefore, the Prophet called his companions to take a pledge to fight and avenge the blood of Hazrat Usman. This was known as Baitul Rizwan. After this, Hazrat Usman entered and negotiations started with the Quraysh. Eventually, a treaty known as Treaty of Udabia was devised. The conquest of Makkah, that was the main and most important point from his Madani life. The next great event was the conquest of Makkah. The idolatry was removed from the great part of Arabia once and for all. The Allah's sacred house, the Kaaba, was cleansed of the fifth of man-made objects. The event took place in the month of Ramadan, 8 Hijri. Makkah successfully broke from idols, performed the tawaf, and returned to Medina. The next main event was Allah bestowed victory upon his prophet in his many battles, and the Muslims were now strong. He sent diplomats to the emperors of Persia, Byzantine, Abyssinia, and the other head of state tribes, inviting them towards guidance and reform. Some accepted, some gave polite diplomatic replies, while some others, such as and while some others were arrogated enough to betray their ignorance by highly tearing the letters from the Mercy to the words. Main event of his Madani life. In the 10th years of Hijrah, the Messenger of Allah performed a Hajj with all his wives and a fairly large number of his companions. 2 months after his return to Medina, the Messenger of Allah fell ill. Medina wrote a look of gloom because of fortnight. The Prophet of Islam was confined in bed. The davening of 28th of the lunar month of Safar provide to be faithful, for on the day of mercy for the words, although weak with fever, made his way to mosque to lead the prayers, which also proved to be for the last time. Following a brief speech, he returned to the house, and after giving necessary instruction to his divinely ordained successor Hazrat Ali, he breathed no more. The sad day marked the end of the final prophet. इंशाल्लाह नेक्स्ट वीडियो में आपसे मुलाकात होगी एंड दिस लेक्चर विल बी मोर हेल्पफुल एंड फ्रूटफुल फॉर योर स्टडीज़ जज़ाकल्लाह खैरन अल्लाह हाफिज़.